All right. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Legend of the Three Kingdoms. That was weird. Sorry, I have a cup on my desk in front of me that I filled full of ice and then put cold liquid in. And when you do that, it's a metal cup. When you do that, the ice sticks to the side and eventually it will release. And so as I'm doing my intro, the straw I have in it just raised in the air and then fell back down. Sorry. Anyway, this is my game. And I've had a hell of a week, so I may not be all here mentally, but neither of my players, so it's great. And I didn't forget to unmute myself this time, so that's a plus. Yeah, to kind of bring us into the game, these guys kind of all came together, Magnificent Seven style, to save this town. They ended up saving it only for some really weird stuff to happen. And they fought Fire Incarnate, having pissed off the fire gods for using it as a solution to everything for 2 campaigns now, and a one-shot that lasted 4 shots. So, they killed Fire Incarnate, and got captured by a local vampire lord, and were taken all the way. Thank you, Cogwhistle. And we're taken all the way to the city of House Donjo, which is a relatively decent distance. We're talking about a couple weeks' travel to get all the way to House Donjo, one of the major vampire houses. And there, Briar, or Preach as she's known, was convicted of treason after some meeting with somebody that you guys didn't realize. Was convicted, not of treason, of espionage, of quite a few assassinations, terrorism, a bunch of other things. And you guys all got lumped into aiding and abetting, a political terrorist. And were set to be executed. However, apparently, Briar had an ally of some sort that was able to sneak her a few messages and helped to engineer an escape plan for you guys. So you were able to get out of you were able to get out of House Donjo, and you're now in the wilderness just outside the city. You had a pretty decent drop, and now you're kind of in a semi-swampy kind of area. It's a little bit foresty, a little bit swampy, but it's wilderness. But you're technically still close enough to the city that if they send out search parties, it won't take long for them to find you. It's a big city, but searching around the outside of it with the amount of guards and personnel that they have at their disposal is not going to take long. So, as of right now, you guys are fugitives from the Sanguinian Empire. You're what is it, persona non grata in this country. And because they brought you a little bit inland from the Fenrish border, which you were just on, you're probably like a week or so away from the actual border of Fenrish. So yeah, knowing that, what do you guys want to do?
Is it possible to gauge time of day?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know we have that overcast, but
Now that you're outside the city, the overcast thing is specifically over the portion of the city that the vampires inhabit. So now that you're outside the city, you're right next to it, but you can see where the unnatural cloud cover ends. And even with an overcast day, you can kind of roughly tell time of day. So you think right now it's mid-morning, maybe close to noon, because you were scheduled to be killed right at dawn. That's the best time to kill people. So the whole escape thing and getting to a place far enough away that a casual person on the wall or near the wall wouldn't spot you took you a couple hours roughly. So yeah, now it's mid-morning ish.
so we put as much distance between them as we can and just start walking towards Fenrish.
The Blood Scent Arena would be the closest place.
Yeah. Do we know which direction it is in?
Would I, having wandered for a while?
Henri, well, yes, you've wandered. You technically have been told where to wander a lot of the time.
Okay.
So you haven't learned the map quite as well as you could have, because you've been directed a lot. Argenta probably would be the person that's most familiar with this area because she used to work here with her mercenary company, and Lillian, you would probably know a little bit. You know Fenris a little bit better than you do Sanguinius. But you guys, everybody has, a rough idea of, where the major cities are. There are minor minor cities and towns and villages between here and the Fenrish border and between the Bloodsen Arena and the Sanguinius border. The map that I gave you guys is just the major cities. So Henri, no, you don't technically know exactly where Blood Scent is, other than Fenrish is north of Sanguinius. And you guys don't technically know exactly where you are in relation to House Donjo. You just kind of got out of there. So, yeah. Without a map or, stopping in a town and getting directions or something like that, you're not 100% certain where you are. There's also the fact that the border is guarded.
Yeah.
And on the Sanguinius side, there's basically a magic shield that encircles the country. That the only place that it quote unquote goes down is there are border crossings where it's designed to be shut off in that limited area. Everywhere else is just a big old magic barrier. The
Would I be able?
Oh, go ahead.
Would I be able to ascertain by which direction is north from where we currently are?
Make a survival check.
Gotta make sure I'm
Yeah,
using the right stat.
Because that's what I was asking about.
Say that again.
I was asking earlier. I was going to ask which way if I could aid in that.
Yeah,
survival.
sure. Henri, you can make it with advantage. Because Commander, you knowing where north is something you probably would be, very used to reading maps and things like that.
Yeah.
20 not natural.
Yeah, you know roughly where north is.
I vote we go that way. And
It's up.
I mean, there might be a bad idea, but would we want to stop at the Maya and see how they're doing, or do you guys think that might be too risky?
we could head in the direction. I mean, at the very least, we know it's north of us, or May.
Technically,
That's a place
House
far east.
Donjo is actually to the west of Dormay. Like I said, roughly about 2 weeks travel. So, if you go north, you will go nowhere near Dormay. Dormay is to the east of where you are right now. It's northeast, but more east than north.
Dorme is not really our concern. We're trying to get out of this country, aren't we?
Let's just
What
walk north while we talk. Avoid
Yeah.
Yeah.
possible patrols.
Definitely.
Yeah. But
Okay.
what exactly is our concern now?
Yeah.
Escaping vampire country.
Well, that is given, but
And the fact that I keep going one step forward and two steps back. Damn bloody.
You still don't technically know what happened with that whole fire thing. You still don't know why the vampire, that noble, wanted that land, and you still don't know why you were. Because one thing I guess I probably didn't explain last time. It's not that common for death sentences to be handed out without a pretty significant crime. Like the crimes that were listed for Breyer, those warrant a death sentence. Being around her when she was arrested generally won't get you a death sentence. Unless they could find a way to link you to one of those crimes, generally you would be put into some sort of forced labor. You might be put into a blood farm for a set amount of time, which is basically the vampires, hook you up and basically drain you. And just keep you barely alive enough to supply blood for a certain amount of time, and then they let you go. That's a relatively popular punishment. So yeah, the fact that you guys were instantly, not only tried, convicted, tried, sentenced, and convicted, all within like the same 24-hour period. But they were executing the sentence like immediately, is all very, very weird. Someone like the person that Breyer was described as would be someone that they would want to execute very, very publicly. And they weren't. They were just doing it fast. So,
now what would I know about the relationship between the different houses, like, do they communicate, like,
Well, the government of Sanguinius is set up where the head of each house is a member of the Blood Council, which is the ruling body. So each house, the head of the house regularly will head to the Blood Capital to make decisions on rules and just basically to govern the country. And so the different vampire houses stay in contact with each other pretty well because of the game, where everyone in the house is basically trying to one up the next person and try and gain enough, status to become the head of their house, and to get it so that each house, whichever house is the most powerful, becomes the kind of head of the Blood Council. The houses are in constant communication. Some of them open communication, some of them secret communication. There are spies of every house at every other house, simply because it could give them a leg up in the game.
I guess I'm trying to without revealing too much. Would if somebody were on the one from one house, would all the other houses know to keep an eye out?
Yes, they have magical means of communication that they would. That was how they found out, supposedly, how they found out about Briar's crimes. Was they contacted the other houses, because a lot of her crimes happened, over by House Dalmont, House Gerard, House McCour, which is on the other side of the country, over by Valakovia. It basically, for you guys, if you go into every major city and are recognized, any of the houses or the cities that surround any of the houses, you will be imprisoned immediately, and probably they will try to execute you the same way that they did at Donjo. The sentence has already been decided. Smaller cities and towns and villages that don't have as large of a vampire presence in them, it's going to be hit or miss. There are some villages that are very loyal to the vampires. There are some that are not fond of the vampires due to the blood tax and the fact that non-vampires are basically second-class citizens in Sanguinius. They have no control over the country. Stopping in any town between here and Fenrish, if you are recognized, there's a chance that they'll call the vampires on you, and there's a chance that they won't. But if you go into any major city, yeah, you're fucked.
So I vote we just go north, as far north as we can, because I don't think going back to Dorme is very smart, because that's where they caught us in the first place.
Yeah.
But I mean, even if we go north, there's that bubble.
We are good to find a way to get past the border without the border guard recognizing us.
Yeah, the border guards would be told.
Specifically recognizing footprints.
Hey, Jody, the entire time we're walking,
Mhm.
I want to be on the lookout for any of my marks that I've left on various trees while we're walking.
Okay. This particular area, you actually never been to this area before.
Yeah.
So make me a perception check.
It's been a while. 16.
16. So yeah, as you guys are moving at I'm assuming a pretty comfortable pace, pushing yourselves a little bit to make some distance between you and whoever might be attempting to pursue you. You're looking around and you're not really seeing even the kind of trees and things like that you would mark or would have marks on them. A lot of the trees around here are gnarled and withered, and like the whole area just kind of very very withered and rotting.
Okay. That's what I'm going to be looking out for when we're walking.
Make let's see. Let's make it just a straight charisma roll.
19.
All right. You do feel kind of a pull in a direction that's not due north. It's closer to northeast, but more north than east. So you are feeling kind of a pull that you've felt before, and you generally know what it means. But it's not a compulsion or anything, just a kind of acknowledgement, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of turn towards that direction slightly.
Okay.
So instead of like walking in a straight line, make it sound like I'm slowly veering.
Okay. And are you guys, I'm assuming you guys are just all kind of following Henri, since he's been the one that's been like, maybe we should get the hell out of here.
Yeah, and Argenta, because Fenrish is all wilds, and that's kind of what we're going through right now,
Yeah.
I'm going to do what I've done before and cover our tracks as we go from this point
Okay.
on.
Make me a survival check.
Ooh. Am I proficient? Yes, so 22.
22. Yeah, you're not only are you covering your tracks, but you're also giving the few people that are not well versed in traveling through the wilds and not leaving a trail, you're telling people, hey, don't walk there, you'll leave footprints. Or, hey, don't walk on that part, you'll break the stems and I can't cover that up. So you're kind of doing double duty of erasing what you can and doing what you can to prevent a trail. And you're relatively certain that the trail that you are leaving, because you really don't have the ability to erase the trail completely,
Yeah.
would be difficult for a skilled tracker to follow.
All right.
Not impossible, but remarkably difficult. So that's what Argenta's doing. Henri has his own thing. The rest of you guys, do you have anything that you're doing while you're moving north?
I'm constantly looking for more symbols.
Okay. Make a perception check.
Find the dice. There it is. Perception. 23.
Looking around, you don't see any thieves' cant anywhere. Another thing that with a 23 you kind of realize the thing about Thieves' Cant is it's easily hideable, but it really is designed for a city environment. There's not a ton of Thieves' Cant that wouldn't look extremely obvious in a natural setting, because it would be carved symbols and things like that that in a city wouldn't look like much. Maybe graffiti or maybe bad masonry or something like that. But in a natural setting, they would stick out like a sore thumb. So most rogues would not leave Thieves' Cant markers in a natural setting for fear of the code eventually being cracked. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Is anyone else doing anything?
I'm keeping an eye out for anyone following us or any sign that they will be.
Okay. Go ahead and make me a perception check.
That would be 22.
Yeah. You guys are going fast enough, and for the first probably like 3 or 4 hours of the journey, you can still see smoke rising from House Donjou, just because there was a lot of explosions and fire. So there was enough chaos that you get the idea that a search party, you probably will have a good 8 hours to maybe a day or two lead on a search party. And you've seen no evidence that you are currently being tracked.
Yeah.
And anybody else?
I would just like to keep an eye on Breach.
Okay. Anything you're specifically looking for, or just eyeing her up?
Well, as far as I know, she is this big-time criminal.
Yep.
Terrorist. And,
Well,
I've got no explanation why she's not, so...
Go ahead and roll me an insight check.
Ooh. That was delightful. Insight, 6.
6. Yeah, she probably the best criminal mastermind you've ever even heard of. With the fact that she was able to do everything, like literally, she did everything from major political assassinations to destabilizing entire cities. At one point in there, they blamed her for, an economic recession for the entire country.
Yeah. So.
Damn,
yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Are you attempting to disguise your scrutiny, or you're just openly staring at her?
I think I'm pretty openly staring and making comments every now and then.
So, Briar, you do notice probably after the first hour, you kind of every so often, as you were looking for signs of your contact, you started noticing Vala looking at you weird, and then after the first hour, it just became really, really apparent that Vala is watching you very, very closely.
Vala, can I help you?
I don't know. I don't know. Can you help me?
I can help you if I know what the problem is. Or are you just admiring my beauty?
I'm admiring something. That was an awfully long laundry list of accomplishments. I have to say, I'm a little taken aback.
Well, you know the saying, well-behaved women rarely make history.
That is true. That is true. But, and you know, I've stepped across the line a couple of times. There were a lot of there was a lot of crimes they put in there. Not all of them were against vampires. I'm just,
I'm an equal opportunity offender. What can I say?
You all just hear Argenta laugh a bit. The preacher and the vigilante get along.
Well, they...
just,
No, go ahead.
what drives you to do these things?
Oh, just down with the patriarchy.
Insert political buzz phrase here.
You're welcome.
Unfortunately, she's hitting on all my keywords.
I'm inside your brain.
I'm just...
This video
Like I
gets
said.
a million views.
Yeah.
Like I said, I know
And I just
I
opened up a brand new feminist audience.
Whoop whoop.
girl power.
Hey, what, half the characters in this? No, like 4 out of 6 characters are female in this group. This is a very badass
Yeah.
group
Right.
of
You're
girls
honoring
here.
her. Definitely in the
Year
minority
of the
here.
woman.
Women make up all of our front line in this party.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I
I-
just realized both the dudes hang back.
Wait, do you want me at front line? I'm just saying.
I
Ranged attack.
I know I've had to cross the law from time to time, and that doesn't bother me.
Uh-huh.
It's the I've done what I've had to do to protect the innocent
Right.
and to punish the evildoers.
Uh-huh.
And you seem to have done an awful lot of evil.
Well, it depends on...
Even in a point of view.
Yeah, it depends on your view of what evil really is. Because what I think is evil, you might not think is evil.
Yeah, it's evil in one point of view.
Like, I believe I remember there being some bombings in there, some economic depressions,
Well, I
things
mean...
that would hurt. And I mean, I'm no fan of vampires. Believe me, I'm not. But there are evils.
Well, it's not like I killed children or bunnies or unicorns.
Technically,
believe
according
it.
to the crimes
There were
that were
bunnies
listed, you did.
and children.
I killed a unicorn? Damn.
No unicorns. No unicorns.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm fine. I still have my soul.
I can't say anything. Some of our jobs were questionably legal at best.
Bunnies are evil.
That baby
Maybe we
was
have a Monty
armed.
Python.
That's all I'm saying.
I'm just saying, am I the only one in here that's a little bit, put off by this? I mean, we have, our quote unquote friend, our associate gets pulled into a room, talked to, comes back out. They read her this litany of crimes, and then we're all sentenced to death based on the things she's done.
Allegedly done.
I'm happy.
Allegedly. Well, did you do them or not?
That's for me to know, and
Well, I mean, technically, allegedly means you haven't been convicted.
You've been.
You've been convicted.
Yeah.
But was it a fair trial?
While this is happening, you guys now have been traveling for about, 4.5, 5 hours. I'm gonna roll a die because dice are what you do in D&D. Cool. Argenta,
Yes.
I need you to roll me a dex save.
Ooh.
Oh, crap.
Okay, danger sense comes into play. That's
I
an
believe
18.
danger sense requires you to be able to see.
Oh, okay. Well, I rolled the first one higher anyway. 18.
18. Okay. So as you're sitting there covering up and you've gotten to a point where you guys have kind of slowed your pace a little bit because, again, no one's been following you thus far. So you probably have a little breathing room. And Val is bringing up good points. So you guys have slowed down and you've stopped for a couple minutes here while Val is bringing this stuff up. And you kind of stand up to listen and start putting your 2 cents in. And you hear this. And on instinct, you just jerk your head back as a crossbow bolt goes right in front of you. Sticks into the tree next to you.
I instantly
What do you
look
guys
in the
wanna do?
direction of where it was fired from.
Okay, roll me a perception check.
Perception. Don't believe I'm trained in that. That makes that a 16. Yep.
So in that direction, again, this is not a heavily wooded area. There is a bit of a fog just from, its high humidity. But there's really not a whole lot of places to hide. There's nothing in that direction.
I just pull my shield off of my back and... Is there a letter on the crossbow bolt?
There's nothing attached to the crossbow bolt itself.
Okay.
But if you'd like to look at it a little closer, give me an investigation check.
And I just kind of mutter, we have company, apparently.
The rest of you guys would have noticed a crossbow bolt striking a tree. Like, it makes a little bit of sound.
Straight roll, so... This die.
I'm just saying, we've all been through. Oh, wait a minute.
16.
Looking at it, it's a crossbow bolt, but there are cuts in the shaft itself that don't make sense as far as it being an effective tool for killing someone. They just seem kind of random and out of place. But beyond that, it's a crossbow bolt. It is black wood, and the feathers on it are raven feathers.
I'm just like, who's there? As I, have my shield in my hand now.
I mean, it looks cool. I'm going to walk up to the bolt and admire it.
Okay, you can make an investigation check if you want.
No, I just want to admire it.
Okay,
It matches my
it's
outfit.
a cool crossbow bolt. It's large enough that it was probably fired. It's not a hand crossbow bolt. This is a full bolt, so it was either a light or heavy crossbow that fired it.
I will.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, while I get close to it, I will cast a message towards Preach and say, I think this might be for you, but not so the rest of the group can hear.
Okay. You can reply to this message.
As soon as I get that message, I'm just gonna nonchalantly walk over there.
Okay. Make me a dexterity save.
You're a rogue, you're better than I am.
Yeah. this is true. 15 plus 7 is a number
22.
22.
Another boom into another tree nearby. Goes right past, actually skips off of your armor, Preach. Not doing any damage, but you definitely felt the bolt as it hit you. Argenta, no, because you were investigating the crossbow bolt. Yeah. What do you guys want to do now?
I'm now going to investigate both bolts.
Now I'm just looking around in case a third one fires.
Yeah,
Make,
I'm looking for them.
okay, go ahead and Argenta, Liliane, make me perception checks.
I'm just gonna lay down on the ground. I haven't had a rest since I've cast everything, so I'm just
23.
I stay behind Argenta.
Argenta, looking around, you know the range and accuracy of crossbows is not great. You know, not compared to like a longbow or even a short bow. And because there's no cover here, and you can't see anything. You can't see where the bolt, like you look the exact location where the bolt had to have come from, and there's nothing there. And so putting two and two together, something has to be in that general direction. The bolts came from different places, but the fact that they're not, there's nothing there that you can see indicates to you someone is using magic to hide themselves.
Gotcha. How did your investigation go, Preach?
I don't know. How did my investigation go?
Roll me an investigation check.
19.
So looking it over, the cuts and things like that, you recognize them, though it's been a really, really long time. There was, without giving too much away, there was an occasion when you were in Sanguinius for a job that required more than one person. And the person that you worked with had a trademark that he used basically to make it so he could charge more for his very specific set of skills. And that trademark was, black arrows with ravened feathers that had a very distinct pattern cut into them. So that whenever he used this very specific set of skills, they know who did it. So it was his own little personal calling card. You also know he's one of the best shots you have ever worked with, and the likelihood of him from a completely hidden position missing twice is not possible.
Once I realize that, I'm going to start, power walking in the direction where they came from.
Okay, so you guys watch Preach just start booking it.
Mm-hmm.
Not like running or anything, but she's walking with purpose, and she's pumping her arms. And
I'm going to cast Armor of Agathis on myself and follow behind her.
Okay, so
I'm going to
you
cast
guys watch as
nothing.
Vala kind of concentrates for a little bit, and then the mist around her starts to kind of swirl a little bit, and then eventually kind of condenses and solidifies, forming this armor around her. Sorry. Who else was doing something?
It's like, I'm going to cast nothing and then follow because I'm tapped out.
Gotcha. And
I'll
Henri
pull out
sits
my
there
longbow.
and makes some spells and goes whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And then just moves forward. As you move forward, make me a perception check with disadvantage. Briar, I'm sorry.
It was a natural 20 and a 5, so 10.
All right. So as you are walking, you're really focused on where the bolts came from, and you know who they came from. You're not quite expecting it when you feel cold steel on your neck, and you hear a whisper in your ear. Tell them to walk away.
Hey, guys, I need you to hang back. Please.
All right. I'll just assume you need to use the restroom, and I'll just walk away.
Yeah, I need a moment.
As I'm walking back, I'll just very loudly, she just needs to take a crap.
So as soon as they get about 60 feet away, still, again, you guys are in an area where you can be seen for a good 200-300 feet without much difficulty. So as soon as that happens, you guys, first you notice Briar is standing at a very odd angle. Like she seems to be like almost at a point where you think she should fall over because her center of balance isn't over her feet anymore. And then you see a form just kind of appear, and it's got a dagger held against her throat. And he's basically using her as a human shield with this dagger, kind of keeping her in line. And you hear him go, "All of you, drop your weapons. Move forward and lie face down on the ground."
And if we say no?
Then I spill her blood, and then proceed to spill the rest of yours.
Come on, are the theatrics really necessary?
Do you know the amount of money on your head right now, preacher?
I can guess.
You do know, most people just know, they call him the Angel of Death. Some people will just kind of shorten that to Death. You know that his name is Vordant, or at least that's the name you know him by, other than the Angel of Death. Neither of you really went into too much information about your past. So he continues, "I could make enough money to retire forever, for many lifetimes, by just letting this dagger slip a few inches."
I didn't take you as one to retire, ever, or to betray your friends.
In our business, friends are a commodity most cannot afford. As for retirement, I like my job. Very good at it, so that should tell you exactly how high the price is on your head.
So you just want another notch in your bolt.
You are not dead yet. You know me better than that, preacher.
But yet, being the key word.
Because you have a very odd group of friends who have yet to put their weapons down and lie on the floor. This is the last time I will tell you.
I just want to insight check this. I want to see if he's like really like if there's bloodlust behind this, or if there's another reason.
Okay. Go ahead and roll it.
While he's doing that, I'll throw air on the ground because I don't carry weapons, and then just lie down like I'm reading a really good book.
Whoosh. Again, he just goes whoosh.
18 for insight.
You've dealt with a lot of people who have killed monsters, who have killed other people. There's a look you get when you kill someone that you never really shake. And then there are people who have killed so often that they no longer have that look. That's this guy. Absolutely no regard for human life. This is a murderer.
Can I see his hand holding the blade, or is he got it kind of hidden or anything?
You can. He has her positioned in a way that, and you're actually kind of impressed with this from a tactical standpoint. He has her positioned in such a way that none of you can actually see more than maybe about 3 or 4 square inches of him anywhere. He's even standing so that his legs are behind Preach's legs, so that she is a perfect human shield.
Can she see her?
Well, never mind.
Her back to us?
Is she? I'm sorry. Is her back to you guys?
Yeah.
No. She's looking at you guys.
I do you wanna side with me, like, do you wanna fight with him?
Yeah, I'm gonna say to everybody, guys, just do what he says. It'll make everything easier.
Then everybody slow down.
Okay.
Alright.
Argenta, Vala?
I take out my rapier, throw that on the ground. I take out my 2 daggers, throw them into the ground. I take out my crossbow and bolts, put those down on the ground. I take out my loot.
Wait a second. Okay.
Put my
So
loot
Vala
on the ground.
gets rid of her armory.
So
Just go ahead and get naked as well.
So when she does that, Argenta kind of sighs. She drops her shield. She reaches to her back, puts down her short bow and quiver. She reaches to her side, puts her flail down. Reaches to her other side, puts her throwing axe down. Reaches into her coat and puts her hidden dagger down, and then she lays down.
So Vala and Argenta are kind of having this contest of Vala takes a rapier out, puts it down. Argenta takes the bow out. Vala takes this out. Argenta takes this. So you guys are just trying to one-up each other at this point, is what I'm seeing.
I put my crossbow on the ground.
Okay. Commander.
Wait. Sorry, one last thing.
Okay.
I would like to use the dancing lights cantrip to recreate that scene from The Little Mermaid. To pull my voice out and lay that on. And then I will lay down.
Commander, you are the only person that hasn't disarmed.
My rapier, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Can you say a little louder, please?
I will throw down my crossbow or my longbow and my rapier and lay down.
Okay. As you do that, you hear, do not think I am stupid. I see the instrument of death in your coat. I do not want that anywhere near you.
Whatever do you mean? I don't know what you're talking about.
Her blood hits the ground in 5, 4, 3.
Maybe loaded. That's not on the ground.
Okay. As he does that, you see Preach gets pushed forward a little bit. You get a look at this guy, and he seems to have embraced the name Angel of Death because he wears all black. He has this hooded cloak. He has kind of a wing motif on the cloak itself. It's black with like white and indigo feathers kind of stitched into it. Not actual feathers, but a feather pattern. And you can see, he just looks really intimidating. So he pushes Preach forward, sheathes his dagger, and turns to her and goes, "What the fuck have you done?"
It's a long story.
Well, then you better make it short, because I've been hired to kill you.
Oh, I didn't know my appointment with death was so soon.
Well, perhaps you can be late like you always are. I'm trying to tell you, for your sake, you're very lucky that a mutual friend of ours hired me first to prevent your death before I was hired to ensure it.
First of all, I'm never late. Half the time I just don't want to be there, and I show up when I want to. Second of all...
We are not going to get into this conversation again. We almost missed the target. I had to fire from a completely exposed vantage point.
That mission was rigged.
It would not have been rigged had you shown up at the right time. We had everything. We are not getting into this argument again.
You still owe me a drink. Anyway, second of all, half the stuff I'm being blamed with, I didn't do it.
I'm aware of that. Some of what they're blaming you for is my handiwork.
Well,
You couldn't have pulled it off if you tried.
oh boy. Yes, I could have.
I have seen your crossbow work. It leaves much to be desired, let's say. You have other skills. What did you do to get blamed for my very elegant kills?
Are you just jealous that I'm getting the credit and you're not?
No, I am telling you.
Okay.
This is bad.
I know it's bad. And here's what happened. You see, what had happened is I was told to go somewhere. Let's call it Dorme, because that's where I was sent. I was sent there because there was some fishiness going on. And I was sent to find out what the fishiness was.
And
Because y'all know the vampires cannot be trusted.
of course they can't unless they are writing my checks, and then of course they can.
Yeah, that's debatable. Anyway, so
I agree with that.
I get to Dorme.
You are not
and
talking right now. You are laying on the floor very quiet, so I don't feel like testing out one of my bolts on you.
So I get to Dorme, and I run into this motley crew over here who were also on their missions for Dorme. And we find out that there's a camp of mercenaries not too far, and they have their eyes trained on Dorme, and blah, blah, blah. I tell them the whole story with a lot of detail.
Dorme is worthless. The farmers there barely.
It's not. It's not worthless. There is something going on there because they are forging land titles, forcing people off their land, and hiding their tracks. There is something going on. There's something there.
But I have been to Dorme. They approached me before they approached you, I'm assuming, with nothing. Like, the payment was not enough for me to consider reading their proposal. I mean, that's how bad the pay was. They are farmers. They are, the ground is so polluted there that they barely make enough to feed themselves.
You know who sent me. He wouldn't send me on an arbitrary mission unless there was something there. You know.
Unless he decided you were no longer trustworthy and needed to get rid of you.
He would get rid of me himself because I know too much. If he wanted me dead, he would have killed me himself. Why would he send me out in the world where risking me telling everything?
No one would believe you. I barely believe you. And I've seen the seal on some of your orders.
There's something bigger going on there.
Obviously. The rest of you, you can get your faces out of the dirt, but don't do anything tricky. I am still faster than you.
In your dreams.
We're not talking about you. We are talking about your dirt-munching friends.
Argenta just lets out a little bit of a snarl, and she's just like, "We fought a fire monster. That's a first for me."
A fire monster?
Yes, a fire
Yes.
monster.
Like an elemental? Like from the stories?
Argenta's just gonna put her,
Like
her
not
hand
of
up
this
and,
realm.
and she's like, "I don't do anything arcane, but we killed the mercenary. Just bear with me. We killed the mercenary captain. He turned into a cloud of locusts, and then reality kind of split open, and this skeleton-like creature that was made of fire stepped through.
See,
I almost died." And I show him one of the burn wounds as I lift my shirt a bit.
So the mushrooms you had, they were good then?
You're muted, by the way, Vala.
She is doing this on purpose. I am about to ensure that she never speaks again, but no, go ahead. Continue being funny.
I make the dancing light go back up into my throat, and then I do this.
I'll raise my hand. Excuse me, Mr. Man. It's not funny business, but I really have to pee. Will you shoot me if I pee?
Oh, just... And he just ignores you.
I'll just walk to the closest tree.
When he comes up with that thought and hey, have you been able to get a vampire one?
I do not pick fights with vampires. They are notoriously difficult to kill, and they pay me remarkably well not to kill them.
You work for them.
I work for whoever pays me. Right now, you are all very lucky that the person who is paying me cares more about you not being dead than the person paying me to make you dead. It's very confusing. I normally do not take conflicting jobs, but I was not given an option on the second job.
Lillian, the vampire lords pay well. I know this personally. And
I don't doubt that.
before I became the lone wolf. And sometimes they don't, if you make a name for yourself, they don't let you walk away from a job.
This had nothing to do with name for myself and everything to do with the fact that I got sloppy, I got captured.
You got captured?
Well, it took an army. Like
How
I
much do I
said,
believe him?
you did something majorly wrong. Wrong enough that before you were convicted and sentenced to death, I had already been hired. This was a setup long before you were captured by vampires.
So you see, there is something bigger going on. They are trying to hide something, and I got too close. So now they're trying to erase me from the planet.
Well then, why are you heading north? Why are you not going back to Dormay? Obviously, whatever you found there was important enough for them to not just kill you, but to get the best.
Because they would expect us to go right back to Dormay. We just escaped. So they are going to think we found them in Dormay doing some sketchy shit, so where are they going to go after they escape? Dormay. And we're not that stupid. Well, I mean, some of us are. I'm not that stupid.
Where are you getting these leaps of logic?
I want to go back for the weapon.
If they think we're going to go back, but then they think that we're not stupid, then they'll know that we won't go back. So if we go back, it's the safest place to go.
They think we are stupid.
Well,
They think everyone's
But
stupid.
I still think going back to Dormay is the best chance. We have no idea what summoned that fire monster, and I'm kind of curious about that. And we have no idea. We have no idea what's going on.
Let's go back to this fire monster. That fire monster that you're describing cannot exist.
But it did.
Well, then you got something wrong. There was illusion magic. There was
Nope.
something, because that is an elemental,
Nope.
and the elemental plane of fire is inaccessible. Has been inaccessible for 500-600 years.
Well, now it's accessible, and I have a feeling Dormay is the epicenter of that access.
That's not how it works. The epicenter of access is the Chaos Isles. It is thousands and thousands of miles away across the sea.
While they're talking, can I, since I'm behind a tree, I wasn't actually going to take a piss. I wanted to look around to see if anyone's following us, and just to be out of this guy's eyesight.
Give me a perception check.
Oh wow. I don't know why I keep forgetting this. 23.
You got nothing. Other than him, you see no evidence of anyone anywhere near you.
All right.
I have like a wicked scar from that fire, right?
If you want.
Sure.
Again, with magic, they can get rid of most scars.
All I know is I almost bled to death 24 hours ago. So, from a fire monster.
There are many things that could make a scar like that.
Alright, fine. If you don't believe me, then just kill me. Kill me, get your bounty, move on with your life.
I wouldn't
told
tempt
you
him.
I have already accepted a job to not kill you. And
So
the
what, you
person
just
that
have to-
hired me to not kill you, I am slightly more afraid of than the vampires.
So what are we
Just
doing
barely.
here now?
I mean, Do we need to be standing for this conversation? I'd rather.
Yeah, what are we doing here?
You're the ones that I tracked you here. This is not where I want to be.
So are you just supposed to like come get me and then take me to your leader, person who hired you?
I'm supposed to ensure that you are not dead.
Sweet, not dead. Moving on.
Bring you back to Valakovia. But the contract was not... did not mention anything about 5 companions. However, my contract to kill you did include 5 companions.
How much would it cost to include us on the one where you don't kill us?
More than you have.
Worth a shot.
Perhaps we should head towards Dormay if so many of you are concerned about it. We don't really have a way to deal with the bubble of keeping things in and out.
Our mutual friend wants to meet in person.
Where in Valakovia? I'm not going back right now.
He's not coming to Sanguinius.
So, I'll go to Fenrir.
He's not going to Fenrish.
Mother.
The fact that he is willing to come out and meet with you in person at all. There are very few in our line of work that make it to old age.
So where's he wanting to meet?
Shortly across the border in a tavern in a out-of-the-way village. It's about a day's journey past the wall, far enough away from any of the temples that none of the temple guards or government will know that you are there. But again, I have a plan for getting one person through the wall, not 6.
Well, shit.
Well,
And you are now all relatively famous. Congratulations. I will get your autograph after I kill you.
I mean,
oh, thanks.
to be
Wait.
fair, I've probably been famous. Nothing.
Well, you are an entirely different kind of famous. To be honest, slightly jealous. Your stories are scarier than mine.
Perhaps we should head towards Dormay if we apparently need to go to Valakovia now. Kind says between her teeth.
Yeah. Alright, let's just head to Dormay.
Well,
I mean, both are east, right? What's
Yes.
the stop along the way?
the difficulty being you are now wanted men in this country. Well, wanted men and women.
Thank you.
No.
How good are you at swimming?
Good. Personally, anyway.
I mean, I don't get my hair wet, but
The reason I ask, there is a relatively large lake to the southeast of here. We will be, despite your attempts to cover your tracks, lone wolf. They have the best trackers money can buy looking for you. They will find your trail. They cannot track you underwater. If we go through the lake, we can lose their trail long enough for us to get somewhere that is more difficult to track. If you want to loop through Dorme, we can. It will probably confuse their trackers because we will go south, enter the lake, and then leave the lake to the north.
Sounds like a plan.
Alright, let's go.
I am still telling you, when we get to the wall, you are on your own. I am not going to even attempt to get all of you through the wall. Again, I am only being paid for preacher here. And I'm giving up a lot of money not killing you all right now.
For which we are all quite grateful.
You should be.
By chance, do you know at the wall, can they detect illusionary magic?
Of course not. There is an entire country that uses magic every single day for the most mundane tasks possible. So the country literally right next to it would never think to have ways to detect illusion magic.
Well, you don't have to be a smart aleck about it.
Smartass is literally the only language he speaks.
Are you telling Are you telling me you voluntarily worked with these people?
Well, you see, it's a long story.
I think you need to worry about your standards. You see him pause for a second and look around, and then immediately holster his crossbow. He goes, "Get your things now. We need to move quickly. They will be coming." And you see him just kind of counting on his fingers. We have about 20 minutes before they are here. Stay close to me. This will annoy the fuck out of them. And
Sir, yes, sir.
shut up, preacher. And you see him start to concentrate, and he waves his hand, and you see this kind of wave of just kind of nothing kind of extend from him about 30 feet. And inside this little bubble he created, you notice that noise sounds a little muffled, things like that. You notice that as you guys walk around a little bit, your tracks just disappear. And he turns to you and goes, "This only lasts an hour. We need to move as far and as fast as we can in that hour."
I'll pretend to pick up my weapon and then walk over there.
Whoosh. You, Wolf, can you lay a false trail?
I can.
All right. Take 10 minutes. Lead a false trail continuing north. Double back. We will wait for you. 10 minutes, no longer. There
Okay.
and back in 10 minutes. They will be here in 20.
All right. I rolled a natural 20.
Okay. So he goes off, and all the things he told you not to do, he does. And you go off, and you are going at running pace, so you make a pretty good distance. You backtrack. You get there. It goes, "Okay, now we run. Go now." And I need everyone to make me con saves.
Um,
23.
25.
Okay.
Subtract 20 from that, and that's mine. 5.
Oh god.
Sam.
Okay.
Oh no.
Critical roll die. Let's go. 26.
Okay.
Natural 20 for 23.
All right. So it looks like Lillian and Henri, you guys have 1 point of exhaustion as you guys have been basically running full tilt for an hour. You feel the magic start to lessen as you guys are breathing incredibly heavily and just absolutely wiped out. But he turns to you and goes, "That will keep them off our trail, give us at least a few hours ahead of them. They will not be fooled by the trick for very long, though. We need to continue moving. The lake is roughly a week's journey southeast. Are you all ready for this trip? It will not be fun."
I am.
Yeah.
Then let us go. And so over the next few days, is there anything you guys want to be doing while you are traveling to this lake?
I want to look for the markings that I was told to.
Okay. The first day, actually, as you guys are traveling, you still feel that pulling, and for the first, half of the day, the pulling is getting stronger, which you know to mean you're getting closer, and then it starts getting weaker again, meaning you have passed it. So not close enough that you would have seen, like you didn't get close enough that you could actually see the point that you're being pulled to, but you can tell that it's no longer in the same direction that you're traveling. Do you want to do anything?
Well, it'd be suicide to go towards it, so no.
Okay. So anyone else have anything they want to be doing for the next couple of days?
Not necessarily.
I'm
It is very
probably
apparent the closer we get to the water.
Hold on a second. Two people were talking at the same time. Commander and Lillian.
Oh.
Okay, I gotta refresh.
Yeah, go ahead and if you could both refresh, that would be awesome. Just to be on the safe side.
I will wait until the third night to ask, so what are the odds there's going to be a tavern along the way, or an inn, or...
Death turns to you and goes, "Oh, there is a very good chance. I was thinking that we could just go to one of the vampire cities, put you up in one of the nicest hotels we could, because it will be much easier to clean up the blood and everything, since they are so used to dealing with blood and all that in the vampire cities."
I'm not saying a fancy place.
No, we're not going through towns. We're not going anywhere you could be recognized. It is hit or miss as far as whether or not a small village or town is loyal to the vampires or hates their guts. Both of those people could have a reason to turn you in. The ones that are loyal to the vampires would want to gain favor with them. The ones that hate the vampires want a reason for the vampires to leave them alone. You give them both of those options. So no, we are not stopping in towns. Not until we get closer to Valakovia, or at least these Dorme. Apparently they like you there.
I am very much at home in the wilderness right now, so I'm just like, what I'm doing personally is foraging small game. Nothing big because I would leave trail. I can't just like pick it up.
Okay. You
I'd
guys
just be reciting prayers in Dwarvish.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you spoke Dwarvish.
It's one of the only 4 languages I know.
He is a man full of surprises
Um,
and darkness. Who knew?
I probably playing a top of three to see if I can learn more about the crime.
Okay.
Like,
Uh,
I probably approach the quality person. So, I mean, I know you didn't do all of them, but was there any that they were off?
Yes. Some of the things on that list I did indeed do.
like which ones?
Just a little bit of light sabotage, some minor espionage.
an assassination or two.
Yeah, an assassination or two.
However, that malarkey about the destabilization of the economy and the recession, that is propaganda. That was just poor decisions
So,
from the Blood Council and some bad investments.
not obvious. I mean,
So,
who is the right Bible believe?
I mean, a lot of that list was fake news.
well,
Mm,
which was
We got to hit
did-
every demographic.
Yep.
Seriously.
which one of you was the ones that set the Lord's barn of rabbits on fire?
I think that was a joint effort, wasn't it?
I was not involved in that. That I believed was a made-up story, like this economic bullshit.
I mean, you can't even play along. Come on now.
Wait, that was made up?
Yes, as were quite a
Really,
few of the other
it
crimes.
was?
Any of the really interesting assassinations, she didn't do. They were my kills, because that is what I do, and I'm very good at it.
So you saying
Would you
why
like a
would somebody set her up
demonstration?
for all those?
We would be much, much faster with 5 people instead of 6.
Hearing the him talk about bragging about the assassinations, I'll kind of, if he's willing, I'll try and pull him away from the group and ask him about if he knows about the assassination of the essentially my mother.
When you ask about that, he gets this look on his face for a second, and then you see this just brief point of recognition. He goes, "The commander. I had no idea. Wow. That is unfortunate. That particular crime was sloppy and unprofessional. I would never in 100 years have done it. Unfortunately, the person who did is unknown to me or to anyone, which means either he is the luckiest person on the planet, or there were very powerful people that ensured he would never be caught, or she. And that would mean that those very powerful people are the ones that wanted them dead. You know,
Okay.
you You have a lot of your father in your face. You have his jawline. He was well
I haven't
loved.
seen him in years. Wait, what?
He was well loved by his people. They mourned for a week after his death and yours was announced. Unless I'm completely misremembering your backstory.
I never said he had died.
Oh, he didn't die? Oh, sorry. Your mother then.
Yeah.
Sorry. Remind me here. Your father, Musketeer, right?
Yeah, he was one of the higher ups.
Yeah, okay. So he would have been well known. Your mother's death would have been a big deal. And his child's death would have been a big deal. So, yeah, that's what he's saying here is that there was an official mourning period from the king. So yeah, not your father. I misspoke because I can't actually remember anything. But your mother, when she died, and technically you were considered dead too. That's why no one's come looking for you. They think you're dead, which you would have known.
Yeah. Okay. But that was okay. Well, I just keep walking in silence.
Okay.
This guy, Death, does he look human, elvish?
He's from what you can tell, he looks human, but there's a lightness to his step, and his frame itself is slightly, I don't want to say dainty. He's a little bit more wiry than most humans you've met, which generally is an indication of at least partial elven heritage. Though if he's like a full-blooded half-elf, or if it's many generations removed, you can't tell. He doesn't have pointed ears that you've been able to see, though he's kept his hood up most of the time.
I just kind of say in Elvish, Death, to see if he responds.
And in perfect Elvish, he responds with, "Of course I speak Elvish. I also speak," and he goes through about 12 other languages, various dialects.
Badass Waldus.
I'm a fucking assassin. The ability for me to fit into places where I'm not supposed to be is very useful for me.
What do you know? Well, you know about me. What do you know about the Bloody Fang?
I know the Bloody Fang is an amateur and a disgrace. I also know I have never met him. And he is very, very good at doing very stupid, sloppy work and getting away with it.
He's escaped my grasp, too. Pass.
I will tell you, I have never been hired to kill him. I simply know of his work because we work in similar fields. I also know that there have been one or two of my own jobs that he has made more difficult. Though not impossible. If he had gotten in between me and one of my jobs, he would not be alive.
I assume it involved an explosion or two.
That is his modus operandi. We will make camp here. There will be no fires. I will scout ahead for the next few hours, and I will take Preacher with me. We will be back in a few hours. Do we have an understanding? Make camp. Make rations. You have been foraging. Find some way to make that food edible. We will be hungry when we return.
How do we know you'll be back?
Because I told you we will be back, and there's nothing you could do to stop me if I decided to leave with Preacher.
Enough. And I just like grin.
I'll just sit down by a nearest tree. Are we in a heavily wooded area, or?
At this point, you've left the kind of swamp, and you've come to a much more foresty area. So visibility is only about 100 feet-ish, just because there's enough trees that eventually you start losing sight.
Okay. I'll just sit down.
Vala is going to do her best with the food that she has on hand to try to make a delicious edible meal.
Without fire.
Without fire.
It's almost like he has trouble saying it.
Yeah. It's like, maybe like a little fire? Like, not like a whole bonfire spell, but like I can make my tip and it'll just turn into fire?
Like, I can cast darkness and then fire inside the darkness.
What the hell? You know what you're cooking, right?
I can be fire.
So you guys are there. Preacher and Death wander off. After probably about 20 minutes of scouting and everything, he starts making idle conversation. Why are you dragging these morons along? I've never known you to be a team player. Even when we worked together, you were reluctant to do so.
Yeah, they've saved my life at least once.
I saved your life.
You don't count.
I'm hurt.
You don't have feelings. You can't be hurt.
I can be hurt. If you cut me, do I not bleed? Not that you could ever cut me, but still.
You know I'd do anything for you, blah, blah, blah.
I also know that is a bold-faced lie, but it is a nice one.
No, we all know there's something going on in Dorme, and it's going to take more than one person to figure it out. So for now, they're my means to an end.
Don't get too comfortable with them. That hooded one, he is dangerous. There is a standing bounty for him.
Yes, I know.
And no one I know has been stupid enough to attempt it.
Keep your friends close and your enemies closer, my friend.
All right. We really are hitting like every demographic here. Some Shakespeare, a little bit of Sun Tzu. Any other cultures? Do we have any Viking sayings or maybe an Irish saying?
I mean, I can bring in Hammurabi and say an eye for an eye.
So you guys continue to scout forward. You come across a camp of hunters. Kind of make a mental note that you'll need to avoid it. About 45 minutes ahead of you guys, and then head back.
The entire time they're gone, I've just been doing silent image over and over to make the death guy just dancing obnoxiously for my own amusement.
I've been throwing rocks at the image.
I just turned to Henri and I'm just like, Henri, why do you pray in Dwarvish? You know I can understand you, right?
That's how I was taught.
Fair enough.
Does
Couldn't tell you
everybody
it
pray
any
in
other way.
Dwarvish?
I
No.
assumed.
I don't.
I don't.
I speak Common, Elvish, Orcish, and Dwarvish.
So after you
No.
guys set up camp and do your best to create a decent meal, Vala, go ahead and what would cooking be? Performance? Yeah, make a performance check. Cooking is an art form.
Or to be survival.
especially in this regard, it's an art form.
Ooh.
Please tell me it was a 1.
I can't tell if that's good or bad.
No, 13.
13.
Okay.
Okay, you make a passable meal. You know, you're no Martha Stewart, but
With enough sage and rosemary, you can do anything.
and now we've got the brown coats.
Yes.
But to say, he can live to the end of eternity.
Thank you for noticing.
So eventually, Preacher and Death come back.
I would be looking for them so I could drop the illusion.
Okay. They sit down, they eat, and then you guys set up a watch and everything. But because they went and scouted everything, there wasn't really that much to watch for. So the night passes uneventfully, and this is your third night, and you think you're roughly about 2 days away. Argenta, I'm assuming you've been looking for trackers and things like that as you guys have been going. You have been pushing yourselves really hard, so the little amount of tracks that you guys have been leaving that you can't help but leave have slowed down any pursuit you might have had, to where you haven't noticed them yet. But again, you know, just because of where you're going through, there's no possible way other than through extensive use of magic that you could not leave a trail. So you know that it's kind of an inevitability and if they figure out where you're going, they might be able to stop tracking you and just start going towards the lake full speed, which would turn it into just a flat out foot race. So, anyway, so you guys are able to sleep, and you get ready for the next leg of your journey. But unfortunately, that is where we are going to end it for tonight. I want to thank everybody that showed up tonight. If you're watching this on the YouTube channel, please feel free to tune in live. We love to have an audience. We love to have chat and stuff like that going with bad puns and ideas about what's going on and cheers and jeers and all this other stuff. We'd love to have you watch it live. I run D&D games Wednesday nights, starting at 9 p.m. Central Time. So, yeah, definitely check out this and my other series. Otherwise, if you've missed any of the episode, feel free to check it out on my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/TrainerJody. I have not only this campaign, but the previous campaign that these guys were a part of, the Tyranny of Dragons campaign. The entire thing is there. So yeah, just check it out there. Otherwise, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at TrainerJody there, and I do make videos when I can for about D&D related content. I do in-depth guides to certain classes and things like that. So all that's on my YouTube channel, and I tweet about it. So anyway, that's all for me today, and I will see you guys next time. All right, bye bye.